Thanks very much for joining me. My name's Steve Cullen. Today I'm going to look at travelling light. I fish a lot from the bank on reservoirs, however I fish a lot in small still waters as well. And to get the most out of my still water fish I tend to travel light. If I'm fishing competitions it's a different story. Everything's in there including the kitchen sink. However, when it comes to small waters, prospecting, a nice day out basically, I just take bare necessities. I've usually got a 9'6", 6'8" rod, one reel and a few spare spools, different lines on it. That's it, a couple of bits of tippet. But yeah, the whole point of this is travelling light. So this is what I use. This is a fish pond summit, pack, vest, whatever you want to call it. And it's got everything that I need to get all my bits and pieces in. I really like it. We've got all these sort of rubberized tabs along the sides. All the zips are waterproof, you can see there they're sealed. I've got little straps that I can connect things. I've got little O-rings where I can connect snips, I can connect tools, forceps, etc. So it's all in there. I've also got like a handy little bit in the back there where you could have a net handle for a small landing net. However, I take my big landing net. But let's have a closer look at it. So it fits on, it's basically an over the shoulder number, and we've got a little strap here that clips in. That's him. And I can move this when I want, just take the strap off, point it around, and I've got access to all my bits and pieces here. Nice and easy. But let's look more closely at what's on it. So, this little thing, I've got here a little reel tippet dispenser, and just really handy. I've got 4 different spools there. I've got 7 pound up to 11.5, different fishing applications from nymphing through to pulling. I'll show you, I'll give you a quick look at that and show you what I use for what. But also, is it in this bit? In here, I also fish. There's some dry fly fishing, and I fish this stuff, Superflex. Believe it or not, that's £3, and I use that quite a lot because I fish tiny dries, which we'll look at. Didn't take much to these small still waters, but what I do, every bit of it is essential. I've got a couple of bits of foam spools here. One bung, this is an adjustable bung. I've got a tippet ring on the end of that, and that can let me adjust my tippet to wherever I want to fish it in the water column. But also at the same time, it has to be said that I can change my tippet diameter as well, so I can go really skinny should I need to. Adjustable bung, and this is basically 16 feet. I've got 8 feet to the first roper, and then for my point fly, this is for pulling. You can see I've got all manner of flies in there, from tiny little dries to big lures and scary stuff for fishing under the bung. So I've mentioned that. Let's have a wee look at the flies. The first set of flies are worms. These are various apps, and I've got red, olive, shrew to amber. I've got some pink in there as well. Pink can work really well. But this is these pull resident fish as well as stockies. So don't be fooled with the apps bloodworm. Didn't think it's just for stockies, because this will take resident fish. I've caught brownies that have been in that lake for over 1.5 years now. Yeah, so these things really work. Apps bloodworms. So what I've also got is, you wouldn't be fishing a still water without these things, blobs. These are all tied on Barbers hooks, and I've got various colours. You've got your usual orange, sunburst, pink, but you've also got some muted tones. This is a lighter sunburst. I've got candy in there, black and olive. Now, people will fish blobs and no catch anything. However, a quick change to these are all pretty much the same flies as you see in this blob version, but these are fabs. So these have got the addition of some foam in the back end of these, and you can fish these on a slow sinking line. Fish them on a float as well with some nymphs on a washing line, but I like to fish them on a slow sink line. My favourite being probably a slow glass. it just falls through the water column absolutely perfectly, and that's what I'm looking for. So I tend to fish blobs now. I've got some, they're usually tied in a size 8 or 10 hooks, so quite small. However, I do like to fish these diddy little things. Tiny, tiny, tiny little blobs. Well, a little amount of foam, they just work really, really well. So that's your two, so that's my blobs. That's my fab version of the same blobs. This, bungs. You'll notice I've got different coloured bungs there as well. I've got black, this is for really bright sunny days, black stands out better. Orange for half light. You've got dull days, these white ones stick out like a sore thumb. And I've also got yellow and orange. Just fall back ones, but black, orange, white tend to be the colours. And then I've got an array of bung flies here. Everything from apps, worms, I forget what this stuff's called. It's an F&F stuff anyway. My own sort of tie-ins here. This is the filth worm, it's really, really good. And chamois in various colours. So yeah, great flies for under the bung. Again, for resident fishing, these flies what they'll take. It's no really fly fishing, I get all that. However, it works. I've got lines in here, but we'll look at those a little bit later. So the next thing we'll look at is lures. This tends to be my brownie box. Like I say, I've got resident brownies in there. Most still waters will have resident brownies. Humongous. This is just a black rabbit with a green bead and cat's whiskers. Again, these are all tied in barbless. But for brownies, these flies tend to work better than everything else. So yeah, that's my brownie box. We've also got damsels. If there's a fly better than a damsel that catches small still water rainbows, I've yet to see it. It's probably the #1 fly out there. Stick a different bead on it, and it'll fish in a different manner. It'll duck and dive through the water, just exactly like the natural does. But it's a lure, be under no illusion. This is a lure, but a very, very effective one it is as well. I really like a damsel. Just really, really good flies. And then I've got my all blacks. I call these up my all blacks. These are kind of the flies that I fall back on all the time. I think black flies probably account for more still water fish than any other colour. Maybe a damsel. But black flies will take anything, stocky through to residence, and that's why I tend to fish them a lot. I tend to have my brown fly on the point. I will fish smaller black flies up in droppers, but yeah, black lure on the point takes some being. And it's not all lures and blobs. Obviously there's the nymphs. What you will find after a while is lures and various guises will work, however nymphs tend to stick around your pheasant tail, cruncher, buzzer, hare's ear. You can put tags on. I'm a fly tyer, I love experimenting, I'm experimenting all the time. However, what I would say is keep it simple. They're looking for that silhouette, so there's a saying kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Also gis, which is basically general impression, size and shape. These are the things that you're looking for when it comes to fly tying, especially with nymphs. So I've got all the usual suspects in there. I've got tiny wee damsels, which are again meant to imitate, all the way through to crunchers, muskins, dalbacks, hare's ears, pheasant tails. Really, really simple. And I've got a handful of tiny dries because I tend to take this to, on specific small still waters, the same dries work all the time. Really small emergers, really small sedge. Bear in mind I'm fishing all this in really, really skinny tippet. So that's the nymphs and dry side of the things. Very small dries. It's really catching big dries apart from hawthorn time and daddy longlegs time. So May and August, September. Lines, floater. Can't do without a floater for my bung fishing, for my dry fly, for my nymphing. Works very well, weighted lures as well. The line I can't do without is a good old fashioned, I was going to say slime line. Slow glass. This slow glass is phenomenal. Such a good line, it just sinks at that right rate. So your fly is probably sinking at the exact same rate as your line is. I tend to fish a fly on a 12 or 14 foot leader off the end of this, just devastating, especially for blobs. blobs and fabs. I've got here a Rio streamer tip, and it's got a 12-foot clear section that sinks about 1.5 inches a second. I do really well on that line when I'm fishing up near the surface. Just bedding in some nymphs, it works ever so well. Another one which is like a deeper sinking version of this is a Rio 12-foot tip, and it's like a die tree. That's 12 inches a second, again 12 feet. I love this when I'm fishing again on the drop. I fish a lot on the drop. Very rarely am I pulling. Don't get me wrong, I do it when it's needed, but I just find fishing on the drop's far more effective. Rather than getting pulls and tweaks, what happens is your line locks up, that fish is swimming away with your fly. So that's the lines I've got there. Other little bits and pieces, obviously snips and things, but also always gink and floating. Can't be without gink and floating. I just love this stuff. For my dry flies, I'm using it all the time. And finally, I've got this. This just packs away into the pocket of my bag. It saves me carrying jackets. It's just a little pack away cagoule. This is a Vision jacket, an Atom Kangaroo with a big pouch in the front. It basically just rolls up, literally into nothing, and it just goes in the pocket on the bottom of this little Summit pack. So I can take that wherever I want. Obviously with this little pack you can attach a net somewhere on it and you're pretty much good to go. I think also the other little caveat to that, which I missed, is a hat. A good quality, decent hat, cap, something to keep the light off, and sunglasses, polarised sunglasses. For me, amber. I also like these magnifiers you can see there for getting my flies on, because my eyesight's I'm losing it a little bit. So, I hope that helped. Just a little insight there on what I use in small still waters. Keep it simple, keep it basic, and you'll probably catch far more fish.